Indiana Fever many fans is still poking fingers at head coach Stephanie White for actually making the game not entertaining anymore, bro. This motion offense has to be addressed, and Stephanie White has to be held accountable because it's truly the offense that she's running, and it is not for Caitlin Clark at this point. Now, both Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White spoke to the media immediately.
Caitlin Clark recently spoke out, and she didn't sugarcoat anything. For the first time, she shared some personal details about her health that we hadn't heard before. She also addressed her relationship with Coach Stephanie White, and her comments raised some eyebrows. Was she being critical? Honest? Maybe a little of both. What's clear is this wasn't your usual press conference. Caitlin was direct, open, and real, and it caught a lot of people off guard.
I thought at times we could have played a little bit faster, and I think that's on me, like not conceding in that. We still got to play up tempo. We still got to play fast. But I mean, I thought for the most part, we did a lot of stuff that coach wanted us to do. And, you know, that wasn't why we lost.
I can't hold you, man. That kind of looked like she let that slip out, man. I don't know. But I mean, we all see it. When they play slow, it's just not a good team, man. They're not as good as we see that they could be, right? So they need to play fast, man. I think, you know, they don't necessarily look that good when they're playing half-court ball. Maybe taking something from the Valkyries, man. The Valkyries run, all right? They be running.
Caitlin Clark looks exhausted, and not just from the game. You can see it in her body and in her face. She's running on pure grit and maybe a little too much coffee. The demands of the WNBA aren't letting up, and instead of support, it feels like she's facing one challenge after another. Questionable calls, coaching that's not clicking, and non-stop pressure are all taking a toll. At this point, she's not just playing, she's doing everything she can just to keep going.
The league needs to take care of Caitlin, not for special treatment purposes, but that's who everybody's there to see. Everybody wants to see Caitlin Clark play. And if you let other teams and other people beat the shit out of her, she's going to spend 2 weeks out injured. And your attendance is going to drop because people aren't going to get the chance to see her. And if you actually want to be paid the same as the NBA players, obviously not by actual dollar for dollar, but for revenue percentage, you need to protect her. You need her to be playing at her best and not be having the
Caitlin Clark has become the face of the WNBA, bringing in new fans, selling out arenas, and helping the league grow. But lately, it seems like the referees are singling her out. This goes beyond a few missed calls. She's taking hit after hit, from illegal screens to rough contact, and nothing's being done about it. It's starting to feel less like oversight and more like she's being pushed to her limit on purpose.
Vegas Aces defeated the Indiana Fever 89-81. And this game was disappointing for many fans, not only for the fact that it seemed like the Fever had this one in the bag, but they kind of gave it away at the end of the game, but also because it seemed like there was something off with this Fever team. They didn't have the same energy and spark that we all know and love. So many fans are asking, what is going?
Clip 4. It's tough to watch. The officials rarely call fouls unless they're against Caitlin. The rules seem all over the place, almost like they're being made up as the game goes on. She gets shoved? Nothing. But if she barely touches someone, it's called a foul, sometimes even leading to a suspension. It doesn't feel fair, and honestly, people are starting to notice.
I have figured out the solution to the Indiana Fever's problems. Hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. This is what we gotta do. We gotta put Caitlin Clark off ball. We need to run a motion offense, so when the defense takes away what Caitlin Clark does best, we have other players that can still perform, so when she does have bad games, we're not completely dead in the water. I think that is the best way to move forward with this Indiana Fever team.
What Caitlin Clark is dealing with isn't just tough, it's starting to feel unsafe. The hits she's taking on the court are intense, and at times, it looks more like a street fight than a basketball game. Some defenders are overly aggressive, and the league's response? Mostly silence. Or worse, surface-level social media posts that pretend everything's fine, while their biggest star is getting knocked around with little protection, and things in Indiana aren't much better. The team feels disorganized, the energy is flat, and the locker room has more of a worn-out vibe than a winning one. Caitlin walked into a franchise that seems shaky from the ground up, like it was thrown together without a real plan. Instead of giving her the support she deserves, they've handed her a chaotic situation and told her to manage it. On the court, she's trying to lead a professional offense, but too often, teammates look confused. The defense isn't clicking either. And head coach Stephanie White? It seems like there's no real strategy, just a string of plays that don't go anywhere. The whole setup feels unprepared for someone of Caitlin's level.
First talk about Caitlin Clark. So she struggled once again in this game. She was 7 for 20 from the field and 1 for 10 from 3, which puts her at 1 for 17 over the past few games. And if you're a fan of Caitlin Clark, you know that this is so unlike her. She is arguably the best shooter in the WNBA, and she is having a significant cold streak over the past 2 games. But her missing shots isn't actually what bothers me. The thing that bothered me most in the game yesterday was the one shot that she passed up. Now, she had been missing a few shots, and if you guys were on my live stream, I said the thing that she needs to do is to continue shooting. Shooters shoot. The only way to break a cold streak is to continue shooting.
Every time Caitlin Clark looks to the bench, it's like she's met with confusion. Coach Stephanie White is signaling frantically, but there's no clear message. One moment it's push the pace, the next it's slow it down. The team looks unsure, like they're trying to follow 2 game plans at once. And now, it's starting to wear on Caitlin. Her play, usually so crisp and confident, is showing signs of strain. Passes are just a little late, her decisions a little less certain. That spark she's known for? It's dimming. And honestly, who could blame her? She's battling hard on the court, taking hits left and right, and still waiting for the backup that never comes. At this point, she doesn't just need a rest, she needs a full reset. Because what's happening isn't just about rough games or shaky coaching. It's becoming a mental grind. The league was supposed to protect and support players like Caitlin, to let them shine. Instead, they've let her carry the weight, and now, it's clearly taking a toll.
Wait, what'd you say? Wait, what? Did you just tell me that Stephanie White went on an interview tour this whole entire offseason saying exactly that? Did you just tell me Stephanie White went on an interview? So how come when Caitlin Clark has a bad game, this team looks like absolute dog shit? How come when Caitlin Clark isn't busy backpacking this team, it looks like absolute dog shit, coach? Just a question. Just a question. What we saw today, folks, I feel bad for everybody that had to sit through that. Everybody that wasted 2 hours and 25 minutes watching the Indiana Fever versus the Las Vegas Aces. I feel bad that we had to sit through that. That was a tough watch.
Here's what's really hard to take. Caitlin Clark hasn't even had the chance to hit her stride. This was supposed to be her breakout season, the one where everything came together. Instead, she's stuck trying to make the best of a tough situation, with little support and a roster that just doesn't seem built around her strengths. Fans are calling for change, but the league seems more focused on rule adjustments than on protecting its biggest star. It's frustrating, a generational talent stuck playing the same rough, uneven game week after week. She's taking hits, missing opportunities, and carrying more than her share, and while all this is happening, Coach Stephanie White keeps smiling through press conferences, as if things are on track, even though it's clear something's not right. If this keeps up, Caitlin could start losing that edge that made her so exciting to watch. Not because she's not good enough, but because the system around her keeps wearing her down, and that would be the real loss, not just for Caitlin, but for the entire league.
Well, I think you have to look at things a little bit holistically. I think Caitlin Clark is a really hard player to officiate, much like Diana Taurasi was throughout the course of her career, for a couple of reasons. Caitlin Clark regularly gets picked up in the full court. She also gets blitzed more over the course of her career than any player in WNBA history or in that period of time. And she also creates some contact herself on the offensive end of the floor. She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her.
Caitlin Clark needs a way out, whether that's a break, a fresh start, or something more permanent. The longer she stays in this situation, the harder it's going to be to recover, not just in the win column, but in who she is as a player. It's hard to believe how quickly things have shifted. The league was all in on Caitlin from day one, cameras rolling, sponsors lined up, headlines everywhere. But now? She's stuck in a system that isn't working, surrounded by broken plays and missed chances. She's not just another rookie. She's the reason so many people are tuning in. And yet, it feels like she's being treated like just another piece in a rebuild with no clear direction. Meanwhile, Coach Stephanie White keeps shuffling the lineup like she's guessing, taking Caitlin off the ball, limiting her role, and calling plays that lead nowhere. It's frustrating to watch, and even worse to realize that no one seems to be stepping in. Or maybe they see it and simply don't care. At this point, if no one else is going to make a change, Caitlin might have to. Because this isn't just about her numbers, it's about her passion, her confidence, and her future in the game. She deserves better. The fans deserve better. And honestly, so does the sport itself.
Well, I be damned. I be damned. 7 for 20 from the field. 1 for 10 from the three-point line. And look at those turnovers. 8 turnovers. She leads the league in turnovers. But guess what? Her Clarkies are only going to be impressed, and they're going to brag about the 19 points and 10 assists. Me personally, I'm all about efficiency. I'm concerned about those last 3, them turnovers, which she leads the league in turnovers. She is shooting horrible from the field. And as far as them three-pointers, in the last 2 games, she's only made 1 three-pointer, and that's the one against the
Yes, Indiana can step up, with a real plan, stronger leadership, and a coach who understands the difference between structure and chaos. Caitlin Clark might need to consider moving on. Because right now, we're not watching a star take off. We're watching one of the game's brightest talents get weighed down by bad calls, mixed signals, and a coaching staff that looks lost. She's out there, but she's not leading. Not because she can't, but because she's not being given the chance. The talent is still there, but that spark, that presence that used to make her the heartbeat of every game, is being pushed aside. She's stuck in a system that asks her to shine, but never gives her the space to do it. This isn't growth. It's a slow unraveling. Bit by bit, the game is chipping away at her, while people brush it off as just part of being a rookie. But this isn't about learning curves, it's about a system failing to protect and empower its biggest rising star, and if nothing changes, the league may soon face a harsh reality, that it had something special, and let it slip away.
That Indiana Fever were trying to be that team that runs you off the floor, that hustles. I felt like they were the deepest team. Like, looking at the roster, man, they actually have some players that could run the floor. And I'm just like, dang, bro, it's really crazy to see that they're not really trying to run the floor like I would expect them to. And also using Michaela Timpson. Like, that is some young pair of legs, man. You should be using Michaela Timpson to help you run the floor, play lockdown defense, hustle defense, winning the 50-50 balls. You need young legs to do that, man.
Yes, Caitlin Clark is still showing up and fighting every game. But the question is, at what cost? Each game leaves new marks, not just on her body, but on her mind and her reputation. She's running on pure willpower, and it's starting to show. The smiles are fading, her posture is tight, and the spark that once lit the court is struggling under the pressure. What's worse? This doesn't seem like bad luck. It feels intentional, and this isn't just about one team, it's a problem across the whole league. She's being thrown into the fire over and over, while the WNBA watches like nothing's wrong. Opponents aren't just playing hard, they're treating her like a target. And now, it's personal. Then there's Gino Orima, someone who could have used his platform to support Caitlin or offer helpful insight. Instead, he took a cheap shot. No warning, no context, just a harsh jab at a 22-year-old doing her best in a tough situation. That wasn't helpful. It only made things worse. And coming from someone who should know better, it hurt even more.
But this is a regular season game. There's no player that's going to be that depressed about a loss. The emotion that she's having right now, that's emotion that you have when you lose a championship. But they didn't lose a championship. So it's only one other thing. It's the coach. I knew something was up, y'all. I played basketball all my life. I played point guard. There was something off about Miss Caitlin when I was watching that Aces game. And I couldn't put my finger on it. It just seemed like Miss Caitlin, she was definitely unmotivated. She looked defeated the whole game. She didn't look like she was having fun. And that is always because of the coach.
And then there's the harsh treatment from other players, and it's tough to watch. This isn't just normal competition anymore, it's turned ugly. The elbows, the trash talk, the constant hard hits, it's all out in the open. Some players seem to be going out of their way to put Caitlin Clark down, almost like they're punishing her for being the face of the league. Fouls against her have become routine. But instead of stepping in, the league looks the other way, happy to profit from the drama while their biggest star takes hit after hit. It's become a nightmare, a toxic cycle where aggression gets rewarded and true skill gets knocked down. This isn't about stopping her play. It's about silencing her. They don't want Caitlin to lead or lift the game up, they want her to back off, lose confidence, and fade away, and that's not competition. That's control. It's more than frustrating, it's heartbreaking. Watching a player with so much talent and leadership get treated like this is like seeing a masterpiece slowly ruined while everyone watches. If that sounds extreme, ask yourself this: why is the league's biggest star also its biggest target? This isn't a mistake. It's deliberate.
Reason any professional athlete or any ball player is not having fun on the field, because this is the game they love. They've been loving this since they was a kid. Because the only reason a player is not having a good time playing the game that they love is because the coach is trying to put shackles on them, trying to control them too much. With a player like Caitlin, you got to let them loose. This is something that Steve Kerr had to realize when he was dealing with Steph. Steph was shooting all them logo threes. He was shooting all the shots early in the shot clock. Steve Kerr would shake his head. He'd be like, oh, what are you doing? But after a while, he had to let this player do his thing. Bro, that was the first time I ever seen Caitlin Clark walk the ball down the court. And